It's got to be high energy with a high-pitched voice.
Yeah.
Hello, YouTube.
Yeah.
This is Paul Friedman. Coming at you from the First Mod, bike sailing at its finest. This video is going to be about the sailing trials of the First Mod. Last time I communicated with you all was the posting of the capsize test video. There was a lot of curiosity generated about the project, so I wanted to just show you that it is happening. We are enjoying sails. Today I'm out with my good friend Mike Cobb, visiting from Portland, Oregon. I've also been enjoying a lot of sailing by myself. And this video is going to show you some of the highlight moments. I'm also going to include some of the mishaps, or you could call them educational moments, in which something broke or I didn't know my own systems well enough, and I happened to be capturing it on tape. And I don't need anything from you other than your interest and your support. I don't need you to buy anything. I'm doing this for my own pleasure, education, and to continue this long-term project of creating inspirational bike-enabled inventions and street art. Check out the best of the bike sailing trials.
Out on the bay, the First Mod feels more seaworthy, less wet and wild, and maybe a bit slower than my previous boat, the Banshee. Here's the Banshee. You can see how low it is to the water, and especially in the rear corners there. And when you're out on the water on a big day, it's kind of twitchy, and there's a lot of waves lapping up the sides, splashing on in. Here's a clip that shows us coming out of a tack, slipping around on the wet surfaces here, and then the boat starts digging in to the water, and the water's pouring over the bow, and it takes me a second to shift my weight back and stop it. And later in the same sailing session, kind of the same thing. Caleb's slipping around, I'm slipping around, the water's sloshing around. We come out of a tack, the sail catches, and then there's water coming over the bow. It's like, whoa. I'm trying to maybe avoid or hit a wave square so it doesn't wash in, but the water washes in anyway. So it's kind of hard to keep it dry. But it's a fun, fast boat. It's lightweight, easy to tow behind my bike. So it's been good. Compare that with the First Mod here, crossing the main channel of the bay with Caleb on a day of 17 knots of breeze, a pretty healthy chop. The boat's got a much higher freeboard. So far we haven't taken a single wave over the bow. And maybe I'm not sailing aggressively enough, but I don't mind because I've been craving this feeling of safety that I haven't gotten from the Banshee, and here it is. This is what it's like. We're able to move through the chop without an accumulating amount of water coming into the boat. The amount that comes into the boat is from spray, not from waves coming in. Here's a cool example that shows how well behaved the First Mod is. I am using this new tiller extension, this green rod connected to the wooden tiller. I'm sitting forward, I'm pulling slightly forward, and the tiller just pops out of the rudder. So I rush to put it back in, thinking the situation is urgent. But in the meantime, the boat has simply steered into the wind, giving me a chance to collect my thoughts, a tendency called weather helm. Now here's a look at a very similar situation on the Banshee. I'm sailing along, and the tiller just pops right out of my hand. And we nearly capsize. So you can gather what I mean by how welcome it is that the First Mod is fairly stable and sure-footed. Because it's more stable, I've felt comfortable taking out some very important guests, like my 82-year-old father. Here's another really cool example, heaving to.
We are hoving to here, and with that means is that the boat is steering itself. The tiller is taking care of itself. The centerboard is up, so there's not a lot of lateral flops here. Probably not going as fast, and we're drifting that way, but we're going forward. So what I'm going to do is put the camera mount on, drop the centerboard, and then sail some more.
Now these conditions are definitely a lot less than what it'll be like in this coming summer, but it feels to me like I can go to Sausalito. It feels to me like I can get around Alcatraz. It feels to me like I can sail to Richmond and, you know, go camping in Sherman Island.
You too. See you again. Yeah, that'd be cool.
The last couple months has been a really amazing time because I have gone from my custom lab to the sea trials, and it's a really different set of skills. One is something that I'm really familiar with, like making carbon fiber parts, and the other is sailing a small craft. But at the heart of it, I'm willing to be a beginner at something. I'm willing to be humble. I'm willing to be humbled. I don't want to just do things that I have achieved expertise at. I want to grow. I want to be vulnerable. I am willing to be in the wind and the waves. And here I am getting humbled because I am trying to get out of this waterway here, this marina, and I'm trying to execute a turn. I've got wind in the sail. My tiller is over, and I have no idea that the centerboard is up, and therefore I have no control. And it's inevitable that I'm going to be pushed into these boats. My tiller is over. Still trying to pull in the main sheet as though that's going to help. Oof. It gets worse. Okay, let me see if I can get a little bit of room here. Push the tiller over. There's wind in the sails, and oh man, we're back. Trying to get a good push. I walk right past the centerboard, not looking down at it. Give it a push, and now try the exact same thing for the third time. Nobody said anything to me as this was happening. New idea. Frustrated, sweating, trying to figure out what's going wrong. It's not supposed to feel like this. Time to bust out the oars. 9.5-foot carbon fiber oar, and you can see how strong the blade is. Clearly my custom work is more advanced than my boat handling skills at this point, my dock skills. I found out the hard way that the connection between the bike and the boat is somewhat of an Achilles heel. It's a caster. Here the caster bolt snaps. Do a bit of street ballet there to avoid my folding bike. I hear a bang, look over my shoulder, figure out what is about to happen if I don't act, and try to grab the boat away from the curb. This could have been so much worse. Could have gone into traffic or hit someone. Some support there from the passing BMW. Here's what the caster does. It allows me to stand at the top of the boat ramp and lower the boat by tension without holding the weight of the boat, and I never have to be on the slippery part of the boat ramp. Contrast that to the experience of launching the Banshee, where I have to walk on the slippery part if it's low tide. I decided to make a stronger, lighter caster. I looked into some off-the-shelf casters, but they were quite heavy. Actually, you can see one of those on the table. I folded some carbon sheets over a pink foam block. All right, this is good. I'm gonna place this on. Here's a aluminum bearing housing with some bearings that I had in my drawer. And you can see how I'm building it up, basically trapping that aluminum bearing housing in carbon. The next day it's time to open up the slot where the new, larger 5-inch caster is gonna go. And after some more trimming and sanding, it's now polishing time. There's a two-part process. I also had to make an aluminum machined threaded part that would go up into the end of the tow bar. And these grooves are features that will help it stay up in there when the epoxy sets. Epoxy is normally like maple syrup, but you can thicken it with this powder called Cabasil. Finally, tightening the caster onto the end of the tow bar with a 1/2-inch titanium bolt. The caster provides 2 out of the 3 axes of rotation that are necessary for successful bike towing. When I go from biking to launching, the tow bar folds down and becomes a dock dolly caster.
I guess that's all the propane for the crab cooking.
Despite the things that have come up, so far the first mod is just outclassing the other 2 boats that I've tried for bike sailing. We're just ripping home here on the home run with the waves, with the wind, with the tide, hitting the highest boat speeds that we've hit on the first mod. Leaf and I in the boat right now and basically surfing all the way back from the Bay Bridge.
Sailing away from the sunset too, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
And as we're running, you can see the boat rocking a little bit side to side. But notice that I'm still sitting instead of kneeling on the floor. And in my Banshee, in these conditions, I would be kneeling on the floor, trying to move my body weight left and right because the Banshee's so twitchy. And I'm so scared of, some accidental jibe happening. And this boat is just much more chill and stable.
So the competing firefighters and their fire engines, they would sabotage each other by digging holes in the road and then covering the holes like booby traps. And so one of the jobs was the scout, who would be usually a young boy who would run out in front with a lantern looking for booby traps. Oh my god.
We talk about taking the lane in the bike community as the safest option for the cyclist because it puts you right in the middle where your intentions are clear, where you're not moving around. But as an experienced cyclist, it's not always that easy to do, and it can be tempting to ride towards the side. But if you ever wanted encouragement to take the lane or some practice, biking with a dinghy is great practice. It forces you to ride right in the middle. Here's Deanna and I powering through the Powell Street interchange, getting plenty of room from cars, not getting honked at. And that has been the rule. And I have to say it's very helpful for me to come through car culture with a smile when I'm not getting honked at. Thanks so much for watching. This has been my video on the sea trials of the first mod, bike sailing at its finest. Please post a comment below. I'd love your feedback and to know what you want to see more of. And subscribe so that you can hear when another video comes out. If you're inspired by low carbon fun, check out the pedal power inventions at rockthebike.com. And follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and here on YouTube. This is Paul Friedman, otherwise known as Fossil Fool, signing out. Till next time.